General Hospital Monday, October 6th update. Ronnie wins mansion. Carly confesses to Brennan. Drew's vengeful fury. Monday's General Hospital episode, October 6th, 2025, delivered a whirlwind of emotional chaos, shocking victories, and the kind of gut-punch confessions that leave even the strongest Port Charles residents reeling. From Ronnie's surprising win in the Quartermain estate battle, to Carly's tearful confession that could change everything with Brennan, and Drew's explosive descent into fury, every scene hit with the force of a hurricane. Let's unpack this jaw-dropping episode that has everyone in Port Charles, and every GH fan at home, buzzin'. The sun rose over Port Charles, but it didn't bring warmth. It brought tension. The Quartermain mansion was quiet, eerily so, after weeks of courtroom battles and backroom betrayals. What had once been a war of legal documents and whispered alliances had become something personal. Tracy Quartermain, wearing a steel-gray suit that matched her mood, stood by the living room window as the estate lawyer, Mr. Covington, arrived with the envelope that would decide it all. Brooke Lynn, visibly anxious, hovered nearby while Chase tried to steady her nerves. But it wasn't just family at stake anymore, it was legacy. Ronnie DiMarco, a name once barely mentioned in Port Charles society circles, had forced his way into the Quartermain narrative like a storm. And on this morning, he was ready to collect what he'd been promised. The moment Mr. Covington cleared his throat, you could hear the entire house stop breathing. The decision regarding the inheritance of Edward Louis Quartermain's estate, he began, has been reviewed in accordance with a contested addendum. Brooke Lynn squeezed Chase's hand, and Trace's eyes hardened. And as per the supplemental clause added by Edward's executor in 2009, should a direct descendant fail to uphold family stewardship, the assets may revert to the next qualified claimant connected by blood or business trust. That claimant, in this instance, is Ronald DiMarco. There it was. Tracy gasped, an actual, audible sound of disbelief. Impossible, she barked. He's not even a Quartermain. Mr. Covington raised a brow. Perhaps not by name. But according to the documentation, Mr. DiMarco's mother, Eleanor DiMarco, was the product of a private relationship between Edward Quartermain and Marjorie Danvers in 1960. That makes Ronnie his grandson. Brooke Lynn's mouth fell open. Chase stared at her, equally shocked. Ronnie, wearing his trademark dark suit and smug grin, leaned back against the mantel. Guess that makes me family after all, he said softly, his tone dripping with triumph. The room exploded into chaos. Over my dead body. Tracy snapped, her voice trembling with both rage and heartbreak. Brooke Lynn cried, You can't just waltz in here and take everything. This house, this family, means something. Ronnie smirked. It means money, power, and property. Everything your family took for granted for decades. Now it's my turn to run things. And with that, Ronnie officially became the legal owner of the Quartermain mansion across town. Carly Corinthus couldn't breathe. She sat alone in her kitchen, a half-empty mug of coffee in front of her. But she wasn't drinking it. Her hands were shaking too much. Every minute that passed made the secret in her chest heavier, crushing her from the inside. Ever since Brennan had returned to Port Charles, their uneasy alliance had been tested by lies and half-truths. Carly had thought she could handle him, that she could outmaneuver the former WSB agent's charm and manipulations. But Brennan wasn't like Sonny or Jason. His mind was sharper, his emotional control more precise. And she'd done something that, if he found out another way, could destroy them both. When Brennan walked in, dressed in his usual composed gray jacket and that deceptively calm demeanor, Carly froze. You asked me to come, he said quietly. You sounded off. Carly looked up, her eyes red. Brennan, I have to tell you something. And you're not going to like it. He crossed his arms. Try me. She swallowed hard. The night of the warehouse explosion, the one that nearly killed you, it wasn't an accident. It wasn't Sonny. It was me. Brennan didn't move. His expression didn't change. But something in his eyes darkened, a flicker of disbelief giving way to betrayal. You, he repeated slowly. I didn't mean to hurt you, she cried. I thought you were going to expose Jason. And I panicked. I worked with Brick to divert you, but something went wrong. The charges detonated early. You weren't supposed to be there. For a long, unbearable silence, Brennan just stared at her. Then, in a low, even tone, he said, You tried to kill me. Carly shook her head violently. No. I was trying to protect my family. Jason. Michael. I didn't think you'd actually.
But Brennan was already walking away.
Brennan, please, she pleaded.
You said you loved me.
You said you understood why I do the things I do.
He turned back, his voice icy. I said I respected your fire, not your lies.
You just declared war on the wrong man, Carly. As he walked out, Carly collapsed to the floor, sobbing, realizing she hadn't just confessed the truth. She'd detonated the emotional bomb she'd been running from for months.
Meanwhile, Drew Kane was spiraling.
The man who had once been calm, logical, and heroic was gone, replaced by someone consumed by betrayal and vengeance.
He'd lost trust in everyone.
Carly's recent distance had only fueled his paranoia. And now, after overhearing part of her confession to Brennan, thanks to a bug he'd planted in her kitchen, Drew knew just enough to misunderstand everything. In his mind, Carly and Brennan had been in on it together all along. He stood in the Aurora media office, his jaw clenched so tightly it hurt. Curtis entered, cautiously.
Drew, he began, you've been avoiding calls. People are worried. Drew spun around.
You want to know what I'm worried about? The woman I risked my life for teaming up with a WSB murderer to play me for a fool. Curtis frowned. That's not what happened. Oh, isn't it?
Drew snapped. I heard her admit it.
Carly's been lying since the day Brennan came back. She says she was trying to protect me, protect Jason, but it's always the same story, isn't it? She protects herself.
Curtis took a step forward. You're angry, I get it. But don't do something you'll regret.
Regret?
Drew's laugh was bitter. No. I'm done being the guy who forgives. I'm done playing hero.
It's time I remind everyone, including Brennan, that I can be just as ruthless.
Curtis sighed.
Drew, this isn't you. No, Drew said coldly, grabbing his gun from his desk drawer.
It's the me they made.
At the same time, Jason Morgan had his own suspicions about what was brewing. Ever since he'd returned, he'd been watching the uneasy triangle between Carly, Brennan, and Drew. And when he got a text from an anonymous number reading she told him his coming for blood, Jason knew it was already too late to stop the fallout. He tracked Drew's car to the industrial pier, one of Brennan's private holdings. When Jason found him, Drew was already waiting, weapon drawn. Don't do this, Jason said firmly, stepping out of the shadows. Drew turned, his voice thick with rage.
He used Carly. He played all of us.
Jason shook his head. You don't have all the facts. If you kill Brennan, you'll only make things worse. For Carly, for you, for everyone.
You think I care about that? Drew snapped. He tried to take everything from me.
Now it's his turn. Jason moved closer.
Put the gun down.
For a moment, Drew's eyes softened, torn between brotherhood and vengeance, but then Brennan's voice echoed from behind them. I wouldn't waste your bullets, Kane. You're outnumbered.
2 WSB guards stepped out of the shadows, aiming weapons. Jason cursed under his breath.
The trap had been set. Brennan looked calm, eerily so. The man who had once shared whiskey and quiet nights with Carly was now an entirely different creature. You think you can threaten me, Drew?
Brennan said, his voice smooth but venomous. I've survived prison, death, and betrayal. You're just another name on a long list.
Jason stood between them. Nobody's dying tonight.
Brennan smirked. That depends on your definition of dying, Morgan.
Carly's already dead to me. Jason flinched slightly. Don't bring her into this, Drew warned.
Brennan shrugged. She already brought herself.
Confession's a dangerous thing. Before Drew could react, one of Brennan's guards struck him with a rifle butt, sending him to his knees. Jason lunged forward, disarming one guard in seconds, but Brennan raised his gun. Don't move, Jason. You might still be useful. The standoff was pure gold, suspense, danger, and unspoken emotion swirling like storm clouds. Back at home, Carly sat with Donna's photo clutched in her hands.
Her entire world was unraveling. Sonny wasn't there to save her. Jason was missing. Drew was furious. Brennan hated her. But Carly Corinthos had never been one to stay down for long.
She wiped her tears, stood up, and took a deep breath. If Brennan wants war, she whispered, then war is what he'll get. She grabbed her phone and dialed an old contact, one she'd sworn she'd never call again.
Yeah, she said quietly when the voice answered. It's me. I need your help. It's about Brennan.
And it's time we finish what we started.
Who was on the other end of that call?
Fans were left speculating, but the possibilities were endless.
Some said it was Anna Devane. Others whispered it was Valentin Cassadine.
But one thing was certain, Carly's fight wasn't over.
It had just begun.
Meanwhile, at the newly christened Di Marco estate, chaos reigned.
Ronnie had wasted no time moving in.
Boxes were everywhere, workers were carrying furniture out, and the Q crest was already being pried off the fireplace mantel. Tracy stood in the foyer, glaring daggers. "You may have the deed," she seethed, "but you'll never have the Quartermain spirit." Ronnie smiled, enjoying every second.
"That's fine. I'm more interested in the assets anyway. Starting with ELQ. Brooklyn stormed forward.
"You'll never touch ELQ. Michael and Drew will." Ronnie interrupted smoothly. "Michael's already too busy cleaning up his mother's mess."
"And Drew?"
"Let's just say his current situation makes him an unreliable CEO."
Tracy froze.
"What did you do?"
Ronnie smirked.
"Let's just say I had a little chat with the sec. Turns out someone's been cooking Aurora's books."
Brooklyn's jaw dropped.
"You set him up."
Ronnie chuckled.
"I prefer the term strategic positioning." As he poured himself a drink and raised it to the stunned Quartermains, he said, "To new beginnings." As expected, the fallout came fast. Just hours after the Pierce standoff, Drew was taken into custody, accused of financial tampering and intent to commit assault. Curtis tried to reason with the police, but the evidence was airtight: emails, forged signatures, wire transfers, all planted expertly by Ronnie. When Jason arrived at the PCPD, bruised but alive, he found Drew behind bars. "I told you not to go after him," Jason said grimly.
Drew glared back.
"You should have told me not to trust anyone."
Jordan tried to mediate, but Drew's fury was volcanic.
"They took everything, Jason. My company. My reputation.
Carly.
Brennan wins, and you expect me to sit here quietly."
Jason sighed. "You don't have to sit.
You just have to survive long enough to hit back smart."
"Smart?" Drew scoffed. "I'm done being smart.
It's time to be dangerous." The final scene of the episode was pure, classic General Hospital tension. Carly entered her MetroCourt suite, only to find a single white envelope on her bed. Inside was a photo, her, Brennan, and Donna at the carnival last summer. Across it, written in Brennan's precise handwriting, were 4 chilling words.
Carly's hands shook as she dropped the photo.
Her reflection in the window showed a woman at war with her past, her heart, and her survival instinct. But then her expression changed, no longer guilt, but defiance.
"Then I'll end it," she whispered. Fade to black.
The October 6th episode of General Hospital ended with several major storylines colliding, setting the stage for an explosive week ahead. Ronnie's victory over the Quartermains may be short-lived if Tracy or Brooklyn find the hidden claws Edward buried years ago. Carly's confession has not only destroyed her connection with Brennan but put her squarely in his crosshairs. Drew's fury promises a darker version of the man Port Charles once trusted, a version capable of anything. Jason's loyalty will be tested as he finds himself torn between saving Carly, stopping Drew, and confronting Brennan. And somewhere in the shadows, Anna Devane and Valentin Cassadine are likely watching, quietly planning their next move as Brennan's empire expands and Carly's world burns. What made this episode so unforgettable wasn't just the action, it was the emotion beneath it. Trace's heartbreak over losing the mansion wasn't just about money, it was about losing one more piece of her father. Brooklyn's desperation to protect her family showed how much she's grown. Carly's confession, raw and vulnerable, was a reminder that even the strongest women in Port Charles carry ghosts of regret. And Drew's unraveling wasn't villainy, it was human pain, twisted by betrayal. Each performance felt grounded, lived in, and painfully real, a testament to GH's legacy of emotional storytelling. As the credits rolled, a brief teaser flashed across the screen, Ronnie standing on the Quartermain terrace, holding a glass of brandy, watching as the storm clouds rolled in over the estate. "Power," he said softly, "always comes with a price." Lightning flashed. Cut to Carly, loading a gun, eyes burning with determination. And in the PCPD, Drew whispered to himself, "I'll burn everything down before I let them win." Monday's episode of General Hospital was everything longtime fans crave: shocking turns, deep emotional payoffs, and powerful character-driven tension. Ronnie's rise to power reshapes the Port Charles hierarchy. Carly's confession sets off a chain of events that could destroy her or redeem her. Drew's transformation from victim to avenger marks a major turning point in GH history. With Brennan's vengeance just beginning and alliances ready to shift in unpredictable ways, October is shaping up to be one of the most explosive months in recent General Hospital memory. Because in Port Charles, no sin stays buried forever, and no secret stays secret for long.